All right, welcome into another day of our daily Devos, and I am Pastor Rick, and we are working through the prophetic book of Hosea. We're in chapter 6, getting pretty close, about halfway through the book now, and so things are starting to come together. Things are making sense. Hope you're being like stirred by this, because powerful thing about the prophetic in the Bible is there's like the initial application of the word to the people that he's speaking to. And then there's this other layer of prophetic meaning to us today. Now, good context and interpretive hermeneutical principles. One of the rules would be that it can never mean something to us that it couldn't have meant to the original audience. So we want to be really careful, obviously, when we are trying to interpret and apply the text to our own lives, that we're not being a little cray. So, but I think as we read this chapter today, you're gonna go, whoa. There's some definite straightforward application to our own lives, and I think it will be meaningful and helpful. So with that, we are going to jump into chapter 6. The little title of the chapter here in my Bible is A Call to Repentance. Come, let's return to the Lord. So come on now, let's return to the Lord. Great question for you. Where are you at in this journey? My friend Mason was about ready to freak out because he thought I was going to end that sentence with the word at. He does not like that. And so in honor of my friend Mason, I will not end that sentence with at. I will say, where are you at on the journey? Where are you at in your own journey with the Lord? Are you in a season where maybe there's been some wandering? Maybe there's been some prodigal living in a sense. And maybe it's time for you to heed this first word right here, right out of the gates of chapter 6. And return to the Lord. So let's go on. It says, for he has torn us and he will heal us. He has wounded us and he will bind up our wounds. So, a lot of people look at that and go like, well, that sounds like insane. Like he wounds you to heal the wound. Like, what's that all about? But if you got diagnosed with cancer and the doctor came and said, hey, you've got this cancer in your body. If you don't do anything about it, it's going to grow and it's going to spread and it's going to kill you. Like, that's what's going to happen. But then what if he said, but if you allow me to, I can actually cut you open and cut this thing out of you. And it's connected to you. It's growing in you. It's blood vessels and all kinds of stuff going on. I will cut it out of you, and then we'll put you back together. And then you're gonna live. Well, that sounds like a kind of a crazy process. But for us in these days, with medical science where it is, we would barely think twice about that, right? Like, we wouldn't bat an eye at it, bat an eyelid, eyelid. We wouldn't bat an eye at it. We'd be like, yeah, when do I sign up? When do I get the surgery? When do we do this? Because we understand the concept of getting that cancer cut out of us so that it cannot continue to grow and kill us. Because cancer, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. Similarly, we know that the Bible says that very thing about sin. Sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. So a lot of times when people have this strong challenge with the Lord about these kinds of verses where the wrath, the punishment, the all of that kind of stuff against the sin in our lives, and they're like, man, what's up with God? Like, why is he so mad? Like, what's going on there? And he has creation that he's created, you and me, and we are getting like raped and pillaged by the enemy if we don't get this sin taken care of in our lives. And that makes him angry. That makes him angry to lose us. And you can see the heart of God so clearly in this chapter as we continue on. I just remember that his heart for us is to bind us up and to heal us and to grow us and to revive us and to like that's his heart for us. Sometimes the path is a little bumpy mostly because of the stubbornness of our own hearts. So let's keep going. Verse 2, it says, he will revive us after 2 days, and on the third day he will raise us up so we can live in his presence. And I just think it's kind of a little prophetic messianic thing going on here, that on the third day he's going to raise us up so that we can live in his presence. When Jesus died on the cross, the veil in the temple that separated everyone from the Holy of Holies, the most holy place, was torn from top to bottom when Jesus died on the cross. Significant of the fact that the doorway to God's presence has been opened up because of the sacrifice of Jesus. So he will revive us after 2 days, and on the third day he will raise us up so we can live in his presence. And I just think it's important to remember the so, that you remember the why, that God has raised us up. He's raised us up so that we can live in his presence, that we can be with him, so that we can know him. Therefore, let's strive to know the Lord. If you're going to strive about or for anything in your life, let it be this. Let it be this, that you strive to know the Lord. And it's not a know about him, but it is an intimate knowledge to know him personally. And maybe you're looking at that verse and you're thinking, what does that even mean? And how do you even do it? And that's where I just say, just ask him for help. And be a part of a good church where you have people that you can walk alongside with, and they can help you in the journey, and they can help you learn to know who God is. So his appearance is as sure as the dawn, and he will come to us like the rain, like the spring showers that water the land. So God is faithful. He will appear as sure as the dawn comes. Like, you go to bed tonight, you don't wonder oh gosh, I wonder if the sun's going to come up tomorrow. Like, you've become pretty accustomed to the sun coming up in the morning to where you kind of just assume that's what's going to happen. And that's the kind of reliability he's putting on himself here. He's saying, my coming to you is going to be as sure as the dawn. Comes like the rain and the spring showers that water the land, refreshing you, renewing you, bringing you health and vitality and life. What am I going to do with you, Ephraim? God says. What am I going to do with you, Judah? Your love is like the morning mist and like the early dew that vanishes. So your love is like the morning mist and like the early dew that vanishes. So, imagine the early morning. It's a nice, crisp, cool morning. Oh, yeah, it's so lovely. And there's just this mist just hanging out, over this field. There's a field right outside my house, right out the front door. And, man, there's some days where there's just this really cool layer of mist hanging over the field. And it's beautiful, and it's wow, and I love it. And I'm like, that's so amazing. And then what happens is the sun comes up. And the heat begins to be turned up. And that mist just goes away so quickly. So quickly. And he's saying, your love, Ephraim and Judah, is like the morning mist and the early dew that just vanishes. As soon as the heat is turned up, as soon as the pressure is coming on, as soon as the challenges come your way, as soon as the trial is upon you. And so, I just want to be really careful that we are developing a love for God that is not circumstantially based, that is not fantasy based, like that it's actually based on reality. This is why I've used the prophets to cut them down. I've killed them with the words from my mouth. My judgment strikes like lightning. For this is why right here, verse 6, for I desire faithful love and not sacrifice. It doesn't mean that sacrifices were bad. It doesn't mean that the offerings are bad. It just means that your heart needs to be engaged in the process. So it's like, you could say, for I desire faithful love, not Sunday attendance, not Wednesday attendance, not serving on the team, not being a deacon, not, whatever it is, whatever thing that we end up kind of attaching our value to, attaching our worth to, attaching our spirituality to, attaching our relationship with God to. He desires our faithful love, not sacrifice, not empty religion, not empty ritual, but active, heartfelt. It doesn't mean that the ritual things are bad. Like, you could take the different kinds of rituals that we have in the church of, washing someone's feet, or the communion table, or baptism, or you're just going on down that list of different types of practice, even prayer, that, well, if your heart's not in it, it's just an empty ritual. Where on some sense, like, you could probably win a contest, of the guy that got up and prayed every day, but did you actually connect with God? Did you actually know him more? So I desire faithful love and not sacrifice, the knowledge of God rather than burnt offerings. But they, like Adam, have violated the covenant. There they have betrayed me. So just like Adam, they violated the covenant and they have betrayed me. Gilead is a city of evildoers, tracked with bloody footprints. Woof. Like raiders who wait in ambush for someone, and a band of priests murders on the road to Shechem. They commit atrocities. It's so bad. I've seen something horrible in the house of Israel. Ephraim's promiscuity is there. Israel is defiled. A harvest is also appointed for you, Judah, when I return my people from captivity. And it's just hanging on to hope, that God's going to take a bad situation and he is going to make it right. He's going to make it right. A harvest is also appointed for you, Judah, when I return my people from captivity. So he's already looking ahead and predicting and prophesying the return of his people from captivity. I'm not going to leave you there. I'm not going to leave you stranded. And even all of y'all that are going to get scattered out throughout, like, you're going to go through a time where you're called not my people, but I'm going to bring you back and you're going to be called my people again. So that's the kind of God that we serve. Desires our faithful love and not sacrifice. He desires that our love would be faithful and not like the morning mist that vanishes the moment that the heat gets turned up. And remembering that on the third day, he's going to raise you up, and so that you can live in his presence, not just come to church on Sunday. I want you to come to church on Sunday. I want you to do that. Yes. Like, be involved, but don't let it be the thing that defines your spiritual walk is, well, I go to this church, and well, I'm on this team, and I serve, and I run the slides, or, whatever it might be. Let's return to the Lord. And in our returning to the Lord, let us return to deep love, heartfelt relationship with him. Let's go down that road together. Let's know him. So I hope you're encouraged today. Hope you're strengthened. God bless you tons and tons, and I will see you tomorrow.